Hello everyone, today I'm gonna be making a video about my fantasy world. Wait, will the light make it better? Is that better? I think it's better. It's hard to tell because the light is also shining on the lens, not just on the. Whoa, that's not good. There. I'm not sure if that's making it any more clear. You know what? Let's not bother with that. Alright, fine. So, here is my whole fantasy world. Like, not the whole world, of course, but it's like a map of the continent where the actual story is taking place. There's two others that I have no idea what they're like, but this is the one continent that I've actually worked on. And yeah. So, the name of the actual continent itself is Geth. And see, I put lots of work into it. There's all kinds of peninsulas and things, all kinds of mountains, and the red lines are borders and the blue lines are rivers. So there's like political borders and stuff, and there's like some of these are countries and some of these are like that big blank territory in the middle is a giant desert that's mostly unexplored, and that's why it's blank. It's called the Sea of Sand, just because it's so immense. The only thing you can compare it to is the ocean, even though it has about 1,000 times less water than the ocean. So the thing I was thinking about was, what was it? Oh yeah. The thing I decided to make this video about is explaining how Stellaria works. And the thing is that all three of the major continents, but let's just refer to Geth specifically because Geth is the one where the story is actually taking place, the book that I'm working on called The Wizard Killer. You can find it on Fiction Press. Anyway, so in Geth, the all of Geth is basically run by the dwarves. All of the continent itself. There's a couple of islands, like the Great Northern Isles, are the only territories run by elves. They're like these sort of like free elvish kingdoms. So, like, I got that idea a bit from Scotland because the Scottish stayed way up there north because they didn't like the Angles. They didn't like the Anglo-Saxons, who came from Germany messing everything up. So they, yeah. Anyway, point is that that's basically where I got that idea. Anyway, and so the dwarves basically run everything, and they have steam technology. They're technologically advanced, except they have had steam technology for about 500 years because they never really bothered to get more advanced than like a steam train that travels at about 70 miles per hour, because after that they decided they knew everything, and the only real research that happens is done by some special dwarves that are both in the literal and the metaphoric sense of like, oh, they're literally special, but also they're like mostly like people who have some kind of disability, like dwarfism. That's right, dwarfs with dwarfism. So instead of being 4 feet tall, they're like 2 feet tall. That's right. Anyhow, so dwarfs with dwarfism. It's redundant, so they're yeah. Anyhow, as I was saying about the thing is, like there's the explorer dwarves, they're the mad scholars, and they go about, but they're not really interested in technology. Most of them are more interested in ancient human artifacts because um, humans are like the ancient race. They're the fallen race. They're scattered in just these small little remnants of like tribes, and there's like a couple that are like well known, like oh yeah, that's the tribe of humans that lives in this area, and they do trading with these elf villages because there are elves that live all over the continent of Geth. It's just that they're not really very free. They kind of live under the boot of the dwarves, but the dwarves don't really go out of their way to oppress them very much. It's more like all the really wealthy like landowners are dwarves because even the elves who do get wealthy don't want to live in the country. They're like, nah, I want to go study in the city, so they all move to the city. But then there's like these big landlords that own literally all the land, and they're like, hey, if you want this land and you don't want me to come with big guns, and if you want me to protect you from the centaurs, because in my world the centaurs are just like these raiding nomadic warrior people. Uh, if you want everything to be fine and dandy, well then you better pay your dues because I'm your landlord. So pay up, buddy. I want all. I want half of everything. You know that's kind of how it works. Uh, Although like most of them aren't that unreasonable because like if one landlord is being a tyrant, some other landlord will show up and go like, hey, if you give me money instead, I'll come in and be your landlord instead. And so they can go, oh, why buy protections from you when we can buy protections from this other gangster who is slightly less smarmy and scummy than you. So hooray capitalism. The elves are only slightly oppressed instead of completely oppressed, and some of them actually get wealthy, just not many of them because